Wes, I want to talk to you a little bit about system launches and just compare the differences between launches back in the day, like when you and I were doing things when we worked,
Mm-hmm.
for EB Games and GameStop, and compare them to now because I have a more, well, you're still in a game store, but you guys just handle retro games.
Correct.
But I was there for the launch of PS5. I was there for the launch of Xbox Series X and S
Mm-hmm.
consoles. So I just want to talk about some of the differences between them and now. And some of them you'll be able to reflect on as a customer, of course. I'll be able to reflect on them as a store manager as well as also a customer at the time. Let's just look at some of the differences and why they suck now and why they were great before. Let's just call it what it is.
Okay.
It's true. I'm just being blunt. Okay. So here's one of the biggest things that sucked the fun out, Wes. Back in the day, 2000s, like 90s. Let's talk about the 80s for a brief moment. Pre-orders were like not really a thing, right? Pre-orders really started like in the 90s for consoles. Like who the hell, you just
Yes.
walked into a store and bought something in the 80s, right?
Correct.
Somewhere in the 90s, probably the mid 90s, you started getting pre-orders. Oh, pre-order the console, you'll get it. And the people like you and I did that. We got our consoles as soon as we could, make sure we got it,
Mm-hmm.
But it was not like a phenomenon. It was not that hard to get. And then somewhere around the PS3, 360, Wii era, these people come in and start saying, "Oh, we're going to buy the consoles too, only we're going to resell them."
Yeah.
And you start to see the people who were there change from gamers like you and I who want the console to play it and use it to people trying to turn it for a quick profit. And I think there was some at the 360. I think PS3 and Wii specifically really brought that up another level where people were really reselling those consoles a lot more. 360 definitely had some, but not as much as PS3 and Wii. And
We definitely had a lot of resellers because Nintendo was selling Wii's at such a high rate they couldn't keep up with demand. So they were tough to get.
they were tough to get. They were tough to get from the launch, right out the gate. And this was the first time that I'm sure Wes was probably in the same boat that you really saw resellers being in the store for a launch. It's like, what
Mm-hmm.
do you like? You could. It's hard for me to explain to you if you don't work there, but you can just pinpoint these people like almost immediately. Like they're outcasts. You're like, you don't belong. Like you're getting one because you pre-ordered it, but you pre-ordered it because you want to make money, and it's very obvious what you're doing. No games, maybe a controller if you're lucky. They don't want to buy anything extra. They don't want a warranty. They want nothing. They don't want to talk to you. That's the biggest thing. They just want your console and they want to go so they can put it on eBay. God, those people suck.
You know, it's a shame because I loved working system launches. The excitement that was generated with the pre-orders leading up to launch day and the games and the conversations we were having with the customers, it was fun. It was it was it was different. It was totally different than what it is today. And then once the system came out, yeah, we were busy. We were really busy, but it was a good type of busy because we had people coming in genuinely excited to get their brand new console. Yeah, they wanted to rush home and start playing, but they were excited to talk to us. They were excited to talk to the other people because we would have a line. There would be a line of people waiting to come inside the store, and it built like a little community, and
It
it
did.
was great. It was so good to see, and I was happy that we were a part of it. But like you said, then you had the resellers who were, you know, I remember specifically one gentleman coming in. I want to say it was for the Switch, for the Wii. He bought it, walked out the store, and yelled, "He has a Wii for sale." You know, and it was just it really pissed me off.
What a joker.
It be you know, but you know that's why we kind of do the pre-orders. But at that point, like you said, it was the shift
It
kind of
was the
started.
beginning. Yeah, it was the beginning of the shift because before
Yeah,
that you didn't
man.
see that. Nobody was doing that in the N64 era. Nobody was, even the Xbox, GameCube, PS2 era. I don't really remember when I was there on day one. I was still a customer at that point, but I bought my PS2. This was probably right before I got hired. Everybody in that line was not a person was there to resell. Every person was there to buy their PS2 and couldn't wait to get home.
Couldn't
Everybody was
wait to get
talking
home.
about it. We talked to it
Yep.
about the employees. What are you getting? What games are you playing? And then as time progressed, it just became more and more people are resellers, and less people are there to actually play the game.
Yep. Yep. Once we did the pre-orders, you had people selling the pre-order slips,
Mm-hmm.
online, for thousands of dollars. It disgusts me, but and we're talking about pre-orderings and Sony, as exciting as it was to get like during the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 launches, they sucked because we would get a whole bunch of pre-orders and then like a week before launch Sony would say, okay, we can't fulfill your order, so we're only gonna fulfill the orders to people that fully paid for it by tomorrow.
Right. Yep.
I hated that. They did it with the PlayStation 2, they did it with the PlayStation 3.
Mm-hmm. You had to call
And
all of them and say, "Hey, I know you pre-ordered it, but you only have till tomorrow to come pay off your system because they're only sending us so many. And if you don't, you'll be on the next round. But
correct.
but if you want to get in on this round, you need to come like yesterday
Like now.
to come pre-order it."
And pay for it in full.
That's right.
Because those were the only ones that Sony was going to ship out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that I forgot all about that. That was a terrible tactic that those companies used. That killed us, man. That
horrible.
nothing was worse than calling a customer like, "Hey, we need you to come in today, and we need you to pay about $450 towards your console. If you don't want to, it's okay. You're just not going to get it on day one."
Yeah, you may get it a couple days later,
Right.
but day one launch, yeah, But it was what it was. It was with the territory, but we it was the Sony systems: PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox. We didn't have an issue with GameCube. We didn't have an issue with 360. We didn't have an issue with.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, so the resellers, I think, were one of the biggest problems. As far as like having a different vibe and experience in the store. That's the most notable thing because you go from having one or two or three of these people back in the day to now doing a launch for PS5 and Xbox. It's like, okay, at least 50%, at least half of
Mhm.
these people are resellers, minimum.
Oh yeah.
And again, they don't want to talk to you, they're just there to get the console, they want to get out and go. And the other smaller portion of the people are there to talk about it and stuff. And it's totally different having an entire line full of people all
Hmm.
there for the same thing, all excited about the same thing, as opposed to half of them just being like, "I'm just gonna sell my system and make my $50 and move on with my life." Whatever they're gonna make, like it's completely different. Aside from that, uh, the digitalness of today has also ruined it, where it's more complicated now to know if someone is actually a reseller. It's like, oh well, maybe they're just downloading all their games, right? That was always confusing, during the PS5 launch. It was like, well, nobody's buying games, but are they a reseller? Are they just downloading their games? Like, I have no idea. Um, you know, and the other thing that I hate about it is like back in the day when you launched the system, people were ready to spend money. They were like, all right, well, I'm going to need a
They
memory
were.
card. I'm going to need a
Yep.
controller. I'm going to need a game. Like, and now it's like, okay, you got your console. Do you want a controller? Do you want a game? Do you want Nope, just want the console. Do you want a warranty? Nothing. I'm just like, how are you buying just this and getting any use? Do you want a PlayStation Plus membership so you can play online? Nope. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? how is there not a game in this thing? So again, maybe they're downloading and maybe they already have money on their PSN account, but it went from being like a huge transaction, which was exciting. It's like, oh man, you get
Mm-hmm.
controllers and this to like they're just buying the console. Like, oh, that's so exciting.
Well, you figured too, because the last system launch that I participated in, as a customer, was the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I held off getting a PS4 right away because they didn't. I missed the pre-order cutoff, and I didn't get one like day one. But I remember standing in line at GameStop at midnight, with some friends, and there were about 20, 30 people lined up, and it was fun. It was fun. We were all talking, we were having a good time. I was excited about Killer Instinct, Get My Dead Rising, so I was talking about games, and that was it. And then, the Series X, and then the PS5 and the Xbox One, it just it started to, at that point, it started to lose the energy and the excitement, because, and I'm having this conversation with my son, and one thing that we agreed on is, back then the excitement was there because you had a big change in technology.
Mm-hmm.
You were excited to see the newest technology, the better graphics.
Yeah, that's a good
Now
point.
you're not going to get much better. You're really not.
Right.
So the excitement of seeing the next best thing isn't there because you're already looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, there was generations where substantial change happened, right? PS1 to PS2 was leaps and bounds ahead. PS2 to
Leaps and
PS3
bounds.
went from standard to HD definition.
Mm-hmm.
Like those two generations alone, if you live through those, you're like, oh my god, how is this possible? And then now you get from like Xbox One to like Xbox Series X. It's like it's a little bit better. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's like it's not the
yeah.
same.
It's not the same. I finally, when viewers are going to watch this, I finally hooked up my PS5, just so everybody knows, so the world can be happy now. After 3 years.
About damn time his launch PS5 gets hooked up.
Yeah, no. And but graphically, between the PS4 and the PS5, not a big leap and bound. I mean, yeah, there's some subtle improvements,
Sure.
but again, it's not like it used to be, where you visibly saw leaps and bounds, uh, the difference in the graphics between one generation to the next.
The other thing that's a big difference is the difficulty in pre-ordering, like just for the person who actually wants it. Back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
not that hard to do because you were a nerd, right? We knew, we knew when they were going to announce stuff. It was like, okay, I'm just going to make sure I have the day off or I leave work early. I can just go pre-order it. Like it's going to be available. And even
Yep.
then, you didn't have to do it. Like you might have, dude, when they were taking like GameCube pre-orders, you probably had like a week to pre-order that. It
Yep.
didn't sell out. It didn't sell out in a day. That didn't happen. Whereas now, oh, you didn't pre-order it within the first 45 seconds. I'm sorry, you're done. You didn't get anything. Oh, you weren't standing in the store when the pre-orders weren't live because that's what happened with PS5.
Yep.
Sorry, did don't know what to tell you. Like, and all those people who got burned, like just everybody wanting one and there's nobody getting one. And even seeing then, like the people who were waiting in my store that were smart enough to know that what was going to happen, half of them were resellers. They were there to make the buck, and it's like, why? You're like, how did you maneuver your schedule around to be here to do this? Like, and that just took one away from someone who would have actually wanted the console and not resold it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Finally, the last thing I want to mention about this is the employees are not the same, and here's what I mean by that. Um, I mean, no disrespect to employees who work at GameStop. I want to be very clear about that. When we hired people to work at EB Games back in the day, and even in the early GameStop era, if you didn't play games at all, if you had no knowledge about games, that was like a bare minimum. Like you need to know your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't care. They're like, oh, you can sell stuff, great, come on. You have a sales background, that's fine. Which is important. You do need to know how to sell. You're there to run a business, right? Let's not be insane about things. But if you don't know anything about games, they would never have hired you. And now it's
Mm-mm.
like it's almost like they don't care. It's like whoever we can get, it's fine. We're gonna pay you minimum wage. You're gonna hate your job. It's fine. That's what's gonna happen. We'll take you. Customers are gonna stop coming to talk to people who don't know anything about games. Like that's what's gonna happen. And I'm sure that's what's happening now.
I see it. It's and I kind of go back to when we were at EB, and yeah, we had one or two females that didn't really play games, but they were surrounded by all of us who played everything. And they were willing to learn. They were like, "Oh, hey, so did you guys play this? What did you think?" And, and they were excited to hear what we thought, so that they can share it with the customers. It's like now, it's like nobody plays, nobody cares. They're like, "Here's your game, get out."
And why would they? Their company is giving them no reason to stay invested, right?
The disconnect is just it's not there. Going to Walmart to buy a game or going to Best Buy to buy a
Oh,
game.
Best Buy's not as
eh,
bad. Walmart's an atrocity to go buy a game. Good luck.
they know nothing.
They know nothing, and good luck finding someone to open the cage to give you the game. Like, good luck. Just the act of going and buying a game is a barrier at that store.
It's I miss when customers would come in not knowing what they wanted, but they just wanted something good. What do you like? Okay, I like this type of genre. And we could steer them to what, we thought was good. It's like now you go in and you're like, "Hey, can you help me pick out a game?" And they can't help you.
That's a great point, Wes. You better know what you want because they're just like they're not trained to do that anymore either. I don't think. I don't think they're trained to like. I don't think
They're
they're
not.
trained to interact with customers. I think that they're like, "Hey, can I help you find something?" Instead of, "Hey, what brings you in today?" Okay. Oh, you like fighting games? Check out this fighting game. Like
Mhm.
just the act. Like every time I walk into a store that's and someone, first of all, getting acknowledged is like amazing, right? Because that never happens. And then if they acknowledge you, it's like, oh, can I help you find something? I'm like, if I effing came in here to find something, I would have found it. Like I know what I'm doing, right? But if I didn't, your question should really be, what brings you in today, or something open ended where I could like respond to that in a different way than what can I help you find? Like I don't need you to help
Mhm.
me find it. It's 2023. I can find everything I want right here. What are you talking about? Can you help me find something? Of course not. Can you help me pick out something? Is different. And nobody asks. That's a brilliant bring up.
Yeah,
I
man.
and it's not just games. I can't think of a single store I walk into that presents you with a question that's different from "Can I help you find something?" Like, what did you come in here for? What can I help you find so I can get you out of here as fast as possible? That's really how it feels.
Yep, yep. Or they just stand behind the counter, behind the register, and wait and look at you. And if you bring something up, they ring you out, and that's it. And you're out the door.
Yeah, very very transactional. But that's the way the system launches are now. They're very transactional. You come in, here's your stuff. Okay, you don't want anything at all. I tried. Okay, have a good day.
Mhm. Man, I miss those days, man. I miss those days, and I think we're a little jaded because
Sure.
we were in it. We lived it. We
We lived during
knew
the biggest times of it too.
exactly. And so when we go, we expect that same level that we provided our customers back in the day. That level of customer service or just camaraderie or something, and we don't get it. it's like something's missing
Yeah.
because we did it. So we kind of expect it. I know I expect it, and I don't get it, and I'm like all disappointed.
I think the internet changed a lot of it. I think people don't want to interact with each other anymore. You know, both sides of the counter, whether you're an employee or a customer, they're just like, "What do you mean you don't know what you want?" You know, I think that's weird, like both ways now, which is unusual to say because it was not the case a mere 20 years ago.
Nope. Oh man, I miss those times, but
Well, let me ask the audience this: if you guys have any other differences between system launches between then and now, drop a comment, let us know, give us some feedback. Maybe there's something we missed, but I would love to hear what you guys think about system launches from the 90s and early 2000s to today. What do you like? What do you hate? What are the differences?
I'm curious to read your comments. Please let us know because I hopefully you guys feel the same way we do. If you don't, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely leave a comment.
Getting a system is always fun. It's always exciting to some extent. But you kids don't know what the hell you missed in the 2000s. Oh my god. You have no idea.